What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show. The Blazers lose to another team above 500. They now fall to 4-8 on the year against teams above 500. This game was filled with rat ball. All right, the definition of rat ball, I don't even know how to define it because it's basically the type of basketball you'd see, the type of offense that you'd see if you just rolled the ball out there on the court in an open gym and had no offensive system whatsoever. The offense let down the Portland Trailblazers tonight. They do give up 111 points against the Denver Nuggets. Honestly, you can be fine with that point total. You know, normally we give up a lot more, but the offense tonight, what was the biggest letdown, in my opinion. We'll get into what went wrong with the Blazers offense, and we'll talk about some of the issues the Blazers faced in this game. Now, they were competitive, a little bit more competitive than I expected going into this game, right? But overall, I think we're seeing a lot of the flaws that we saw before that good 9-game stretch. And we're seeing proof that that 9-game stretch wasn't meaningful long-term in terms of this team showing consistent improvement, right? This I don't know. I don't know if you can comfortably say this team is much better than it was before that 9-game stretch. And it's still showcasing a lot of major flaws that we will always touch on and always bring up. So I just want to start with the offense, Eric. I just want to get into this. Let's start with Damian Lillard, who, didn't have his best game. But my goodness, would it really kill us to run some sort of offensive system that could maybe make things a little bit easier on him? Maybe move players, move the ball so he can catch the ball and the defense is moving and maybe he then has a driving lane, or maybe, run him off a couple screens in such a way that might get him good shot opportunities. I don't know, but all game long, you got Dame going against a set defense off of pick and roll or one-on-one. Pick and roll or isolation. And it was a microcosm of the offense in this game, right? Dame didn't do, what he normally does against it, but it's, I don't know, man. The position we put Dame in this game, in a lot of other games, we're not making things any easier on him with the type of offense we run, Eric. I'll let you touch on it because I'm still kind of collecting my thoughts.
To that point, so Jamal Murray was 1 for 8 in the first 3 quarters, and they ran him off a double screen, got him to the corner, got him an open 3, which he hit, and then a couple of possessions later got him an open 3 on the other side of the court, and then from there he got right back into his rhythm and got going again, and then was able to score in some isolation and some pick and roll and stuff like that. So it'd be nice if we went to that kind of thing to get Dame a better shot other than just, Dame needs to shoot a 3. Let's do pick and roll, see if he can hit another 27-footer with a guy in his face. He's
basically having to attack a set defense time after time after time. He's, it's either pick and roll and he's getting trapped, getting a hand in his face, and they did a really good job. Even when they switched, though, they were switching Najee onto him. Najee is honestly impressive in terms of his perimeter quickness, and that was one of his strengths coming into the NBA, is like a big man that can switch out onto guards. Basically, it was isolation or pick and roll. We ran some dribble handoffs, right? But those function exactly like a pick and roll. A dribble handoff functions exactly like a pick and roll. It's just you hand the ball off to Dame instead of him dribbling off the guy, And he struggled to get clean looks. And when he did get downhill, guys were collapsing hard on him. And he made some good kick-out passes, and he distributed pretty well tonight. I don't know how many assists he finished with. Let me pull this up. Dame finished with 13 assists, so he made plays out of it. But scoring-wise, it was very, very tough on him. He didn't even have that bad of a game, though. He was 9 for 21 from the field, 4 for 11 from the three-point line, 5 for 10 inside the arc. So 50% inside the arc and a little bit under 40% from 3, with 13 assists and 25 points. When he didn't look to have quite the same burst, second out of a back-to-back playing in altitude, and we didn't do any favors for him with the offense that we ran tonight. because it's just him having to attack against a set defense, which is much harder to do than if we had an offensive system that actually worked to maybe generate him some driving lanes on its own or potentially some easier shots.
Yep. I mean, we've talked about this before. The amount of effort Dame has to do on a nightly basis just to not only get shots for himself and score, 30 points a game, but also he has to single-handedly basically create the entire offense when he's in the game, because no other player moves. They just stand around and wait for him to create an open shot for someone else. And, there was 2 times in a row where Derrick Jones Jr. cut to the basket in the second half. We scored on both of them. The rest of the second half, he just stood there like a statue. And we don't do anything to get him not only... I mean, even his assists are difficult. Like, he's got to drive in the lane and kick out on a bad angle, and he rarely has people open. Like Jokic and like Nurkic is kind of the same way, where some of their assists are like passing to players who are back cutting to the basket, and it's a really easy pass if you're skilled to do it, which Dame can do. But like, he doesn't really have any passes where he like passes people open like that, It's
oftentimes his assists are coming off of him having to create against a completely set defense, and then making a pass out of 3 defenders collapsing on him.
So it's just, I mean, we've seen this several years in a row. Dame, he's human. He, like, as much as he's amazing and a great player, you can't count on him to literally carry a team on its back for game after game for whole seasons. This early in the season, you can't count on it. And no matter how many examples of this we have. And the other thing is, too, we're, like you said, we're playing in altitude. Second night of a back-to-back, right? Does Stotts, like, maybe say, hey, let's play him in some shorter bursts, maybe take him out a little earlier? No, he plays him the whole first quarter and the whole third quarter, so he has to play 12 minutes in a row. And then, like, why not, like, play him 8 minutes into the third quarter?
Yeah.
Then he can rest shorter and come back in the fourth quarter before the game's getting kind of out of hand or whatever. And you know what I mean? Like, just mix your rotations up. Like, when you're playing in altitude and you're having trouble breathing, it's not good to then play like 12 minutes in a row. You should be playing shorter bursts of time, in my opinion, and then you can exude more energy and then rest for a few minutes and go back in and exert some more energy.
You know what I think is absolutely ridiculous, like beyond ridiculous, is that people are saying, man, you can't blame Stotts, you have to blame Dame. Bruh, Dame didn't even have a bad game. He shoots 50% from 2, almost 37% from 3. He shoots 36.4% from 3. 13 assists, 5 turnovers. That's a good assist-to-turnover ratio. He couldn't buy a call, only got 3 free throws. The refs were definitely not doing him any favors. How in the world did he have a bad game? People saying that, I can't believe people are actually in here saying that, right? They're blaming him for having that game when he has to create everything against a set defense, one-on-one off the dribble, or against the trapping defense when we have nothing to exploit it otherwise, and people are blaming Dame? Ridiculous. Horrible take. Beyond horrible. One of the worst takes I've seen people have this year is that we should blame Dame for this game, as if he was terrible, and as if Stotts put him in position to succeed, because Stotts didn't and Dame wasn't terrible. So, I mean, you got those takes in here, and they're just beyond ridiculous and just kind of pisses me off.
See, that's twofold to me. One is Dame is so good that, if he has a mediocre or bad game, it's like everyone expects so much out of him that it's still considered a bad game, even with all the assists and all the things he does for this team. And then 2, like, we rely on him to have a good game. So when he doesn't, we have no option. We were lucky in the first half of this game. We had Melo just go bananas. if we didn't have that, we would have lost by like 40 tonight because we had nothing going on in this game. Like, we were doing absolutely nothing at the time, and we just got lucky that one of our ISO players hit a bunch of tough shots.
Yeah.
But like that's the problem. Like Block Boy says, with our defense, it's going to be hard winning games with Dame shooting like this. And that's correct. But why do we have to rely on Dame to have a superhuman performance every game? And that's the problem. We don't do anything to make it easy for any of the players on the team on both ends of the court.
Okay, let me just insert this, right? Even for Melo carried us. And I just want to touch on this really quick. Sorry to interrupt you, but
no, it's fine.
I gotta say this. Melo gets hot, like super, super hot there in the second quarter, right? We don't have a single set for him. A single set. The only way we design anything for him is to dribble the ball down the court and pass it into him in the post, like 16 feet away. Or for him to dribble the ball down the court and post up from like 18 feet away. Like, okay, cool. Like, I want the ball in his hands when he's as on fire as he was during the second quarter. Bro, you don't even have a set that has him curling off a damn screen to the mid-range where he can catch and pull from there when his mid-range is falling. It's ridiculous how they don't even have that in the arsenal.
It's like the most basic play.
It's so basic. Like, oh my god, it's so
cross screen
stupid.
Or something to get him posted up 10 feet instead of 15 feet.
But you know, you have people on here that'll say, well, the Blazers just don't have guys that can make that pass. Bruh. It's so dumb. So I don't know. I wonder, Block Boy, was that pissing you off, bro? Because, my goodness, the only way they can get your boy the ball is by post. They don't have a single set for him other than to just post him up. I would have loved to have seen Melo curl into a mid-range 15-footer. And with how hot Melo was, both defenders might have went with them. You could have Canner send that screen and then slip it for a backdoor lob, and we could have gotten an easy bucket inside the paint. Easy bucket inside the paint.
Where's that play? First game of the bubble, we saw it twice. Against Memphis, where Melo sets up in the corner, someone sets a screen for him, he curls right to the middle of the paint, and one time he was wide open, and the other time he was fairly open, he got the ball and got fouled, and scored either 2 free throws or a bucket. Both those plays, haven't seen it once since. And that's the perfect time to do it, because like you said, either the defense is going to be so focused on Melo, if you run him off a screen, both defenders are going to go with him and someone's going to be open, or Melo's going to be open off the curl, and when he's that hot, that's like easy money if he gets a wide open jumper, as opposed to having to dribble someone down, pump fake 3 times, and then sidestep and hit a 17-footer.
And they start doubling off that, and Block Boy says, I agree to get him going, but once he got going, I like the post-ups because it caused double teams, and we got wide-open shots from it. We got a couple wide-open shots from it, but, you know, and if teams are going to double Melo in the post, I like posting on Melo and then having him pass out of that if teams are going to double him, right? Mix it up, though. Mix it up. Because if the dude's on fire, you still want him to get some decent looks. You know, like, if the dude's on fire, I don't want to just use him as a decoy to draw a double. I would like to do that at some points, and then keep the ball rolling where he doesn't get cold, you know, keep getting him some decent shots. He's not going to get it against double team posting up, so run him off a curl to the mid-range and get him a shot like that. The fact that that's not a set that we can go to in our repertoire is very ridiculous, because that is so basic. That is so basic. In high school, I ran so much more complex offense, so many more sets than the Blazers ran. It's ridiculous. It's so much rat ball, and it's like somebody gets hot, okay, ISO. Okay, Rodney Hood, let's ISO him in the post, even though he doesn't have it going. We ISO Rodney in the post. We don't have him curling off to the mid-range at all. Melo's hot, like ISO.
From the hoop.
Yeah, Melo's hot, ISO. Bro, if somebody's hot in an open gym, guess what? You know, like, if I'm playing with Melo in an open gym and he's hot, guess what I'm doing? I'm just walking the ball down there and throwing it into him in the post. It would have looked exactly the same as it did tonight. Exactly the same.
Though? He had Campazzo on him 3 times late in the game, and we stood him at the 3-point line when he had a freaking under 6-foot guy on him. But then, like, when he has got Najee on him, we post him up, and he's got to take a tough shot over a big man. It makes no sense. Like, we can post him up anytime, and it just drives me crazy. And the thing about the double teams, there were times in the second half where he got the ball and literally all 4 guys ran to the other side of the court and stood as far away from Melo as they could. Mm-hmm. There's not one person cutting down the lane or going towards the basket when Melo passes. So even if he gets double teamed, where's he supposed to throw the ball to? One guy can guard all 4 of those guys in some of those plays. That's how close they were off ball. It's so stupid. We do so many things to make the game of basketball, which could be like fun and beautiful, and like you could expose the crap out of these situations where Dame gets double teamed or Melo gets double teamed, but instead we just make it like the most difficult thing possible. Like there's no possible way with our personnel we could ever do anything because we're so screwed when we get doubled by our main guys. But like just try to cut, like pass to a cutter. It's wide open. And then we saw Derrick Jones do it a couple times, and they never went back to it the rest of the game. It's so frustrating. It's there every single play when someone gets doubled.
Yep. Yeah, so you got Portlandia in here saying, well, Dame sucked because he was minus 15, bro, and that's why it's his fault. So full of crap. Yeah, the guy who guaranteed a win, man. I'm getting tired. I might let you post and just block. Like, see if I can hide it from me, because it's just you're so full of crap, man. My goodness.
Some of the donos. Yeah, 0-12, $10 dono. Couldn't even call our offense rat ball. There is 0 ball movement when it comes to the bench. It's 5 guys who ISO, not to mention sliding Dame to off the ball guard and giving him easier shots.
Yeah, and I mean, you're not guaranteed necessarily to get Dame a bunch of open looks by running him off the ball, but it makes it easier to free up other guys. And if he's catching, the ball off, if you get the defense moving, if you move the ball, move players, and get the defense moving, and then Dame is catching a pass against the defense that's like scrambling a little bit, moving, Dame will oftentimes be able to exploit that and be able to attack a moving defender. He will have a lane because the defense hasn't shifted over to him yet, or somebody is having to close out on him. They're not set right in front of him from the get-go. Somebody's having to close out, so that makes Dame. Dame can either pull the 3 or he can pump fake and the guy's already moving towards him and he can use that defender's momentum against him to drive the lane. Like moving the ball would make things so much easier for Dame. So much easier for Dame. That sitting here and saying, ignoring everything and only looking at one game of plus minus when he literally is the guy who carries us to win after win after win and ignoring everything statistically, right? Like, if Melo has a good game and he's like a negative 15, I'll point out his plus minus. I pointed out if he's having a bad game. You got to add, you can't just look at plus minus. You have to have context with plus minus. You have to have context. And you're ignoring all other context to try and blame Dame over Stotts when Dame is sitting here against a set defense having to create everything off the dribble against set defenders and just has an just insanely hard job. And the thing is, you're spoiled, Portlandia. You're spoiled by Dame, man. A lot of Blazer fans out there are spoiled by Dame, right? Because they're so used to him, like, excelling, even though he's not put in a position to easily succeed by the coaching staff. They're so used to him excelling that when he has a game like this where he only scores 25 points and has 13 assists and shoots only, decent efficiency, they're out there blaming him, saying blame Dame instead of Stotts. It's so ridiculous.
And to be honest, it's not just Dame. It's like we got Anfernee, Trent, Little, all shooting plus 40% from 3. Did we do anything to get them an open shot ever?
Nope.
Like, do we do anything? Like, they just stand there, and tonight when the defense is not really sagging off of them, they don't get good shots. And, like, there was a point in the fourth quarter I tweeted out, it was 3 minutes into the quarter. I don't think we had passed once on offense. Like, Ant had brought the ball down a couple times, shot it. Hood brought the ball down, shot it. Melo brought the ball down, shot it. Like, we made a couple of them, but, like, it's just such crappy offense. Like, we weren't doing anything. It's like, and Stotts was at the end of the first quarter was like, oh, when Dame sits, this is when we run our offense, and blah, blah, blah. They didn't run crap other than just post up Melo and drive the ball up the court and see what can happen.
But you know what? They run that... They run that offense all the time, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? People will then blame Anfernee for that.
Right.
Which is just ridiculous.
I saw a lot of that.
God,
the
man.
other thing is too, like we've seen, like, again, it's just like the ball movement thing. We've seen countless examples of the second unit when they play with structure and have some sort of offense and move the ball, they play well. And then when we do this crap where we just make Anfernee Simons be Damian Lillard, and he's not good at that. He needs to be within the flow of the offense and get threes that way, not dribble down and do step backs, which he can hit occasionally. But that's not a good idea to just start your offense doing it that way. I don't understand. And then, yeah, we just put every single one of our players in the worst possible position, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't do, like, you look at Carmelo Anthony, 9 for 17. We didn't do him any favors in terms of making things any. We didn't manufacture easy shots for him. There was a couple times Dame drove the lane and kicked out to him for open threes, but it was basically Dame like isolating or running a basic pick and roll, which is what you would see in an open gym. It's rat ball. There's nothing special about it. I'm not saying they should never do that, but the thing is, that's all they do. That's all they ever do. They don't mix it up, and they don't adapt. If the isolation and pick and roll isn't working, they don't then start moving the ball and adapt and try some other things to potentially get their offense going. It's just only that. Posting up Melo and then Dame driving out of isolation and kicking out to him, that's not the coaching staff doing Melo a single favor whatsoever in making things easier on him. The coaching staff, this is 2 games in a row where I feel like the coaching staff didn't really coach. Offensively, bro, that offense you would see in an open gym. It's rat ball. There was nothing I saw today where I was like, oh, well, that's just a good play design by Terry Stotts, or that's an interesting play design. Bro, even their sets is just a bunch of, and this has been my biggest problem with his sets, right? When they do run a play, Eric, it's a bunch of guys running around the arc.
Wasted movement, yep.
And a bunch of passing around the arc. Oftentimes it'll be Rodney Hood will screen away for Anfernee on the arc. Anfernee will come off the screen up to 30 feet away from the basket and catch the ball, and then Rodney Hood will go post up. You know what I mean? It's wasted movement. It's wasted ball. It's not productive at all. It's not creative at all. We have the most amateurish offensive system in the entire NBA. And it looks good because you got guys like Dame and CJ.
Mm-hmm. If they didn't run dribble handoffs, I think they would be have half as many passes per possession as the all-time lowest record. Half their passes are just from dribble handoffs and running that stupid weave crap that does nothing.
Yeah, and we have the least amount of passes in the NBA
with that,
and we manufacture and honestly, okay, I would say in the half court we have the highest percentage of passes that are completely meaningless and accomplish nothing, right? I would say we have the highest percentage of meaningless passes in the half court. And what's funny is we have the least amount of passes in the half court. And stats back that up. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how there's people out here that can see other teams play against us and run offense, the way other teams do, and then act like our offense is normal and there's nothing we could do, and Stotts doesn't have the guys who can make a basic read or a basic pass. And that this is how every other team plays. It's crazy to me.
I mean, how can they run an offense though? They have some injuries, man. All right, shout out to Deshaun Paul for the $10 dono. He says, coming out of that timeout when Jamal hit the corner 3, how does Stotts not know that play was set up for him? He is almost trying to get fired. 1 a.m. where I'm at. Have a good night.
Have a good night, Deshaun.
Sorry if we missed you, go to sleep, but yeah, thanks for the dono. They had a play design to get Jamal an open 3, and it was off ball. All they had to do was set a pick for him, and he went to the corner, and our guys got confused and didn't know whether to switch or to stay with him, and then there was a poor closeout, and he gets that one to rattle home, and all of a sudden he goes on fire, and that was pretty much the ballgame.
Yep, shout out Near 012 5 don't know. He says, I'm happy for CJ coming back, not because he's a starter, but because he's our backup guard, which gives Dame easier shots. I mean, we'll be better with CJ back, but we'll still run the same rat ball crappy offense that we do. Thing is, if we had a good offensive coach, I think there's a chance we would have the best offense in the entire league. in the entire league when healthy. You got guys like Anfernee, Trent, CJ, Dame. Roko's coming around hitting shots now, and he's a very smart offensive player in my opinion. You got maybe one of the best cutters and lob targets in the league in Derrick Jones Jr., and when he's hitting threes, he's 2 for 3 tonight, he is a great compliment. You got Enes Kanter, one of the best offensive rebounders and finishers in the league. Healthy, you got Yusuf Nurkic, a really good passing big man, and, he's inconsistent in regards to his finishing, but he was figuring that out before he ended up breaking his leg, and if he can kind of get back to that, he's a phenomenal offensive big. Like, you got Carmelo. I haven't even mentioned Carmelo Anthony. When Carmelo Anthony gets hot, he can be one of the, just a guy that can single-handedly still take over games. He's not too efficient, but when he gets hot, He can carry a team offensively. Bro, looking at this personnel, if we had a good offensive coach, I think when healthy, we would be not only a top 3 offense, probably the best offense in the league.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me, though.
Yep, I agree. My friend Grab says the NBA is just ISOs and threes right now. But then why do other teams that are ISO heavy, like Brooklyn, for example, they have 3 tremendously good ISO players, and they average almost 27 assists per game. They're 4th in the league in assists. It's not a situation where you can't pass the ball, and because you have ISO players.
What's funny is I got into a Twitter argument with a guy named Ty Forshee, and he was making the point that guys just are too stuck in their ways. Like, they're not going to listen to a coach, try and change the way they play or whatnot. James Harden goes to Brooklyn, is playing a completely different style of basketball. Mm-hmm. Completely different. He's not pounding the ball into the ground, ISOing like crazy. He'll have times where he does that.
Yeah,
but he's diversified his game. The NBA, the people that make the argument that the NBA is more ISO heavy and, 3-point heavy, they're definitely right on the 3-point heavy. But, for the people that make the argument that, the NBA is just ISO heavy now, so that's why we ISO so much. We ISO more than any other team in the league. We have the worst ball movement and worst player movement out of any team in the league. So even though the NBA might hypothetically be trending that way, we are the worst of the worst when it comes to that, And statistically, there's stats that back that up.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, if we run Dame off ball and we pass to him and he shoots, if he makes it, that's an assist, right? Mm-hmm. We can still get him good shots. Same with Melo. If we have him come off a curl screen and give him a pass and he hits a wide open jumper, that's an assist. Versus if you throw it into the post and he dribbles 5 times, that's not an assist, unless the scorekeeper is being really generous. Mm-hmm. But running an offense leads to passing, and I just think this team would be so much better and so much more difficult to stop if we were just not so reliant on guys basically dribbling in on 2 guys and scoring or hitting a turnaround 15-footer with a guy in your face, and that's our only way we can get good shots.
Yep. Let me thank the next dono. Ball Don't Lie Podcast says, appreciate the $5 dono from Ball Don't Lie Podcast. We're basically last in defense and dead last in assists. That's not a recipe for success. You can tell Dame worn out due to how much we rely on him. And you can tell Dame's worn out. But, if he doesn't do heroic performances all the time, then people will blame him instead of Stotts, which is just absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how you can say this is a well-coached team when we're 28th in defense and 30th in assists. I don't know how you could say that's a well-coached team, especially when you maybe have the most talented Blazer in franchise history. To be 28th in defense and 30th in assists. To go from 27th in defense last year to improve the defensive personnel and regress defensively to 28th.
We were 29th today going into this game.
Were we 29th?
Yep.
Oh. Wow. Well, let me fix my tweet then. 29th in defense, 30th in assists. And then people just say, well, man, you just O'Shea, what the hell? It's ridiculous. It's frustrating. It's so frustrating. Shout out Dro, $5 dono. He says, why can't Stotts simply adjust like any other coach does? We don't run plays. We guard Jokic at half court. Stotts can't coach. He needs to go. Yeah, man, all the people that loves Terry Stotts, you never hear them saying, what a great adjustments from Stotts. A, I don't know if they know how to recognize a coaching adjustment. But B, and more importantly, Stotts doesn't adjust, man. He doesn't adjust within a game. He doesn't really adjust much during a series. Unless the national media is laughing at him after Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Appreciate the dono from Dro.
And that's the problem, though, is, we wouldn't have practiced that adjustment at all during the regular season. So when we go to it, it's too slow and doesn't react quick enough. So
yeah. Bro. Oh my goodness. I did not realize this. Shout out Cal Wilson, $3 dono. He says, no forced turnovers is unacceptable. I'm looking at the Nuggets box score.
They had one turnover. One turnover.
I mean, we did. Defensively, I wouldn't say we were terrible. But my goodness, you know what's funny is like some people will say, well, we don't move the ball because turnovers are horrible, man. You can't turn over the ball. Turnovers are the worst thing in basketball. But then we play a defense that forces no turnovers, and that's okay too, There's no consistency there with certain people. We can't turn over the ball, but, it's fine that we didn't force a single turnover. They had one turnover. I don't remember what it was on, but, I don't think it was because we forced it, We had exactly 0 steals, Eric. 0.
Yep. And see, here's the thing. So, I don't think Shaggy Squid is in here watching right now, but so he's constantly tweeting at me every game about how crappy Cantor is on defense, right? And I got in several arguments this morning about Cantor's level of defense and how that makes it so there's nothing Stotts can do, right? Mm-hmm. So you're not forcing any turnovers, but in the fourth quarter, you just have Jokic and Murray playing a 2-man game and going crazy. Why not just sell out, all out, and trap one of them and
rotate over to the second one?
Yeah, try to get the ball out of one of their hands or make them make a tough pass or something. And because Cantor's big, it'd be hard for Murray to throw over the top of him. So if he just really quickly jammed him and got pressured him in his face, yeah, they might score out of that, but occasionally you get a steal, and that's better than just scoring every possession, right? So even if you got one out of every 10 times, that's still better than and just whatever they're doing and just letting them score getting a mismatch or
but Eric, you have to be Usain Bolt fast in order to trap.
Yeah.
Cantor can't trap. He's not Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Every time I've seen Cantor hedge or trap this season, it's looked decent.
Mm-hmm.
That's the frustrating part about it. Why not throw that out there? Bro, we've been going small with Rocco at the 5. Why not trap? How do you have a small ball lineup with Rocco at the 5? You got Derrick Jones Jr. out there, Gary Trent Jr. out there, and you don't force a single steal. People want to give Stotts personnel excuses. That's a personnel, reason the other way. How do you have a small ball lineup like that and not force a steal?
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Dro. He said he was at the game last night in Phoenix. No adjustments or effort. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I hope you were yelling at Stotts to adjust.
And then Near012 with another $5 dono. He says, "Come on, guys, let's be fair. Stotts would be a great coach if he was coaching an All-Star game."
I mean, that's
he doesn't have to do anything. He can just throw the ball out there, right?
Yep. And then shout out Football Nerd. I don't know what currency that is. I apologize. But it's 100. So he's keeping it 100. He says, okay, Portland fan from India here. Is there any way we can get Stotts fired? I'm sick of this. The game is in the morning here and my day gets ruined. I don't know, man. It would happen after the season. I'm not counting on anything happening now. And I don't know. It's remains to be seen. But he's the only, what was it? What was that stat, Eric? Out of 350 coaches who have 10 years of coaching experience and have coached 9 years in a row with one team, Terry Stotts is the only one who's never won a Western Conference Finals game or something like that.
Yeah, let me get you the exact stats.
Shout out to One Sport over on our forum for this because he pulled out some facts here, some interesting stats about Stotts' longevity here as the Portland Trail Blazers head coach.
All right, so there's been 336 coaches in the history of NBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
53 of those 336, so only 15.8%, have had at least 10 seasons that they've been a head coach, which Stotts has had 13. Of those 53, Stotts is 38th in career regular season win percentage, and he is 49th out of 53 in career playoff win percentage with only 34.4%. The only coaches that are worse in the history of the NBA that have been with the team this long have been Mike Fratello, Nate McMillan, Kevin Lawfrey, and Don Chaney. And then 21 out of those 336 coaches have had a coaching tenure for 9 seasons or more with one team, which obviously that applies to Stotts. Of those 21, Stotts ranks 20th out of 21 in regular season win percentage. Only Bill Fitch has a career regular season record lower than Terry Stotts. And Bill Fitch actually has a career playoff win percentage of 50.5% and won a championship.
Mm-hmm.
So compared 50% in the playoffs compared to 34% for Stotts. So he didn't have the greatest regular seasons and kind of faltered towards the end, but up until that point, he got a pass because he had won a championship, right? So Stotts is dead last in playoff win percentage of those 21 coaches. That's pretty obvious. So 20th out of the 21 is Doug Moe, who was 39.8% in the playoffs. And Stotts is at 34.4%. So not only is he last, but he's almost 5.5 percentage points behind second to last in playoff win percentage. All right, so then you look at 15 out of those 21 coaches won an NBA championship. The only 6 that didn't, other than Stotts, there's 5 others. One is Jerry Sloan, who made it to the finals twice. Mm-hmm. Don Nelson, who had a really good career, just never won a championship. Flip Saunders, who basically only had one good year in Minnesota, but they got to the Western Conference Finals. But that was under the Garnett years. You got John McLeod, who had an NBA final appearance, and Doug Moe, who had 4 career conference final game wins. So only one coach in the history of the NBA has coached at least 10 seasons or been with the team longer than 9 seasons and never won a conference finals playoff game, and that is one Terrence Stotts.
Yep. His longevity with this team is ridiculous. The fact that he is still here as our head coach is ridiculous. But people like to say, oh, he just hasn't been dealt the best hand. Bro, he's been dealt Damian Lillard. He has Damian freaking Lillard. And he has CJ McCollum. And he had LaMarcus Aldridge. Bro, the personnel excuses have to stop. There's no reason he should still be here. I'm praying after the season this team makes an upgrade. But I'm not expecting it until after the season, and honestly, with the way things are going, I wouldn't be shocked if he was here another 10 years, Eric. Shout out to One Sport again for those stats. Very eye-opening.
And, just want to make sure. Okay, so get to the donos. I want to say something there.
Yeah, I'll get to the donos. Shout out Gordon for the 2 SGD. I don't know what currency that is, but appreciate the donation from Gordon. He says, coaching matters. See what Kerr did for Steph. Yep, Kerr won multiple championships, and people out here are like, well, see, his team's only around 500. That means he's trash, right? But if we're around 500, it's our roster's trash, and, we made the Western Conference before, but, the fact that Kerr won 3 championships doesn't matter. It's so inconsistent. Shout out Dro, $2 dono. He says, I was 15 rows behind the bench cussing LMAO. That's funny. That's funny, man. I wanna go to a empty stadium and watch a Blazer game and yell at Terry Stotts. I'll stream it on my phone or something.
I had a lot of fun experiences in college at Oregon State with some pretty low numbers in the crowd, just like yelling at opposing coaches and some players that went on to playing the NBA like Jason Terry. I got into it one game with. It was really fun in those kind of atmospheres. Yep.
And then shout out Shaggy Squid for the $5 Australian donation. He says, ask Brad Stevens how trapping or playing up Canner goes. He is a big man that can't guard anything outside or inside the paint. Well, when they play Nurkic at center, they still do the same thing. When they play Rocco at center, they still do the same thing. So having Canner is not the reason why Stotts is running that scheme. He's running that scheme because that's all he knows how to run, and that's all he's comfortable with running, no matter if it's getting destroyed or what. So the whole he has to drop Canner. Bro, he drops everyone, no matter who they are. Harry Giles, he drops him. Harry Giles is an extremely mobile big. Probably not too great at protecting the rim, but could really get out there and trap. He's very mobile for his size, but Harry Giles gets dropped as well. They run drop scheme with Harry Giles. So the whole they have to run drop because they got Canner thing is a flawed notion because that's all they run no matter who they have there. Appreciate the dono, though.
Yeah, man, you got to chill on the character stuff.
I know.
But so this is the point I wanted to make. You kind of touched upon this, but when we won our 6th game in a row, Tori, how many people were saying, "Oh, we are winning, but our personnel is still really bad. Watch out, our personnel is still gonna be the reason we don't win games." Did you hear any of that? No. We lose one game. What does everyone start saying? Oh, it's personnel. What's Stotts supposed to do? He's got Cantor at center, and we got Rocco playing like crap. We got Melo coming off the bench. No one can play defense. No one can do anything. That's all you ever hear is excuses about personnel whenever we lose. Whenever we win, it's, oh, this team is so well coached. Look at what they're doing with all these injured guys out, and then they lose, and it's like, oh, but we have injuries. You can't expect them to win all the time. Whatever. It just drives me crazy, dude.
Oh, it's so inconsistent.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I lost my train of thought there. Shout out Dro for the $2 dono. He says he definitely heard me too. Goofy. That's funny. But what's funny about that? I remember what I was gonna say is during that 6-game winning streak, what were we saying? We were saying, we're enjoying this. We're beating a lot of teams, that are bad teams, but at least we're taking care of business and beating these bad teams. But I'm not convinced that we've really figured much out. And people were sitting there saying, oh, we've won 8 out of 9, and you guys aren't being super positive. What is wrong with you? But we were consistent all the way through. And even the people that disagree with that, I feel like have to recognize that. Somebody like a Portlandia or somebody like a Peace and Love. We've been consistent all the way through. Nothing we've said contradicts itself. Okay? Meanwhile, the people that like to call us out on apparently not knowing anything about the game of basketball, they're just all over the place. So inconsistent. And it's a bunch of fluffy narratives that contradict each other. And it's frustrating, man. It's ridiculous to me.
Tori, I'm gonna pull a Tory Jones real quick.
What does that mean?
I said this on Twitter today, and I mean, take this as a joke. I am not, by any chance, saying that I could play in the NBA.
Yeah,
but I have not played high school organized basketball. I graduated 24 years ago, so I've not played in 24 years, right? Other than, recreation game, I still play in leagues all over Portland and stuff for fun. But because of, the situation right now, I haven't played in over a year. Before that, I was out 6 months with an injury, recovering from an Achilles thing. I could go on a court right now and have a coach tell me, okay, we're running a 1-3-1 trapping zone. This is your position on it. I know exactly what to do, where to go, where to be. Now, I'm not athletic. I'm not going to stay in front of everyone. But, I know what that means and, where to go. And I know where every one of those 5 positions are supposed to be. I could play any of those positions. Not well, like I said. I can't move laterally.
You would know where to be. You probably couldn't get there in the time you needed to, but you would know where to be.
If a coach says, okay, so they have 2 primary ball handlers. One of them likes to do this, and I want you to attack it this way on defense. I want you to trap in this way, or I want you to sag off it or whatever. I don't need a month of practice training camp to learn how to do this or learn the coach's scheme or whatever. He could just tell me what to do, and I know how to go over there and do that. Like I said, I might get switched onto a guard and I can't move at all, so I get blown by. But like I know how that works or what I'm supposed to do as a basketball player.
Mentally, you know the scheme. Yeah. And I know the scheme.
That's why you have a guy like Tom Thibodeau just show up in New York and have the same amount of practice time, and all of a sudden that team is like the best defense in the league because this guy knows how to teach basketball, and he just it's his scheme. It's what he's doing with his players, not like making excuses like, oh, well, I haven't had any time to implement any of my systems, so like what are we supposed to do? Let's just run like the most basic defense ever and never trap or never try to force a turnover or whatever. And that's it's all like Brandon Tatum just said, it's all excuses. It's just excuse after excuse after excuse. And like obviously, I mean, I'm totally not athletic, so I kind of knew, because my senior year we had a player, like one of our wing players went down, and I had played post my whole life, but like that day we learned this player wasn't going to be able to play in the game, right? And the coach said, like, can you play wing or whatever? And I switched to the 3 position, and we had a pretty big team. But, like, I knew all the plays from that position, and I know that's not something that everyone does. But, like, I wasn't, like, the greatest or most athletic player, but, like, I could seamlessly transition to different spots on the floor, whether it be offense or defense. It's not that complicated. And that, like I said, this is like 20 years ago that I did this. So like, it's just crazy that people think that it takes some sort of special amount of training in order to get people to know how to defend a pick and roll or something. All you have to do is tell them, this is how I want it done. And if they don't execute it, put someone in that well. Like, it's not that complicated, but we don't do anything. Like, we seriously don't even trap. And then when we do and it doesn't work out, like one time, Stotts would be like, oh, well, we tried it doesn't work, what do you want me to do? Like, it's just so frustrating that people say that it's all due to a lack of cohesion or practice time or whatever. I just don't buy that at all.
Yep.
That was my Tory rant.
Yeah, no, I mean, just facts. I don't know. Sometimes you rant and you cover everything that I would say, and I literally can't think of anything to like add on to it. Normally I'm like, okay, what can I add on to this rant? But you pretty much covered your bases there. I mean,
no, man, I'm in my 40s, Paul.
It's like when it comes to defensive rotations and help side responsibilities and whatnot, I know who is supposed to help, who is supposed to rotate where. It's like, it's crazy how people say, well, you're not in the NBA and you're not an NBA coach, so how do you know? Bro, help side responsibilities and help side rotations and defensive positioning is the same at the high school level, at the college level, at the NBA level. Okay? You would be surprised at how similar it is. Now at the NBA level, you have to guard against, for some teams, more complex offenses and whatnot. And obviously, you have to do some schemes will be a little bit more advanced. But in terms of just basic man-to-man defense, and the backside help side rotations and responsibility and, how you close out on a player and all that type of stuff, it's exactly the same. And I had to drill that type of stuff numerous times in college, right? Now, obviously, I'm not going to get out there on the NBA court and execute it that well. I'm not going to be quick enough. I'm not going to be able to change direction fast enough. I'm going to have a negative impact on the defense. But I know what is supposed to happen and what is supposed to be done. You know what I mean? It's funny how you have a bunch of people out here who have never actually had to defensively rotate on anything in their lives sit here and say, well, you're not in the NBA, so you don't know about defensive rotations and crap like that. And it's just funny to me, man, as if I'm not qualified and they are, it's so mind-boggling to me. The narratives are so ridiculous.
And here is Partlandia saying he's comparing basketball 20 years ago versus now. Players are so much harder to coach now. Dude, that's the weakest excuse for Stotts ever.
I called it out too.
So players aren't. Stotts can't coach because players aren't coachable. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's so whack, man.
Why? Okay, what is Terry's job? What is his official job title, Tori?
Coach.
Head coach, right?
Head coach. Lead
Head
coach. Whatever you want to call it. Coach.
This man Portlandia says that players can't be coached, so why do we even have a coach then?
Why do you defend the coach so hard if it doesn't matter since players... If we have a bunch of players that aren't coachable, what does it matter who our coach is? Why do we even have a coach? Well, why do you defend Terry Stotts so hard if players can't be coached? Because it shouldn't matter who the coach is if the coach can't do their job at all because players just don't listen to him, right? Like, oh, God. It's such a terrible excuse, man. And we'll keep giving you the chance to truly be objective, but you keep going more and more off the deep end here. And come on, man, come on. You got to come with better than that.
That's exactly what like Trevin points out. People like Danny Meringue. Oh, you can't coach defense, so Stotts gets an ultimate pass for never doing anything on defense. You can't run a single set or try anything different. It's totally fine because you can't coach these guys if they don't know how to play defense already. Like, what the hell is he doing? Like, why defend someone who doesn't? That's why I don't care who the replacement is, as long as it's someone who's willing to die trying everything possible to get this team to be better, instead of just sitting on his freaking hands and not doing anything about it and just being like, oh, they made shots, what am I supposed to do? Oh, we have the 29th defense, but I feel like if we just stopped a couple shots a game, it would be better, you know, like, he doesn't do anything to change it. Why is he not sitting here saying, we are terrible at defense. We need to do something about it. It needs to be better. Instead, it's like, well, I thought we played hard tonight, but they just made shots. Like, that's all that ever happens. And it's just it's so ridiculous. And I don't understand. I get that people think that he's some miracle worker who has like made this roster into like some sort of team that it would have never been had Stotts not been our head coach. But like, I just don't get defending not coaching. I mean, he's not coaching at all. Like, I don't understand why people are defending him for not doing his job.
It's like you have a bunch of people that think Terry Stotts can do is go and be friends with the players, and that's Terry Stotts' job, and somehow he's a great coach for going and being friendly with the players. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous to me. He can't coach. He can't do anything. The players aren't coachable. There's nothing Stotts can do, but, the players like him, so he's a great coach because they're friends. Bruh, we're talking about professional sports, right?
Yeah. I mean, why not bring Tim Frazier in to be his coach?
Right? Yeah, they like Tim Frazier. Bro, this ain't Pee-wee basketball, man. This is the NBA. Okay? National Basketball Association. These players are paid millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, right? A lot of them wouldn't have gotten to the NBA if they weren't coachable in the first place. So my goodness, he's the head coach. He's not the freaking, his job status is not spirit leader. It's the head coach.
Well, if it is spirit leader, he's actually said speeches don't work. Like motivational things don't work. So
he's not even a good spirit leader. Shoot, okay, I'm looking for another job title that would fit what he's doing. I don't know. Put your job title for Stotts. Something to do with like best friend, I don't know. Come up with your job titles for him, because apparently it's not head coach since he can't coach the players, and it's not spirit leader by his own admission because speeches don't work. So I don't know what to call him. Shout out to Dro for the $5 donation. Defense is elementary. How many have players ever ran a shell drill? It's simple to contest and not allow open threes. We allow open shots, no excuse. Yeah, I swear, man. It's like this team sometimes has never ran a shell drill. But yeah, a lot of defensive principles that some teams, like the worst defensive teams in the NBA, struggle with, are defensive principles that you learn very early on. But then you have people out here try and make it out like it's something so complex you'd have to be in the NBA to know. And it's ridiculous to me. Shout out Football Nerd for the 50. What's India's currency? Eric or chat? Does somebody know? I need to learn. I need to study up on my currencies. We got too much worldwide appeal to for me to keep saying Indian dollars. I don't know. But appreciate the 50 something donation from Football Nerd. Appreciate it. Trade Dame to the Bucks. At least he will win a ring. No, sorry. Appreciated the dono though, but no. Did I miss one before that?
Yeah, I think I missed it.
Shaggy Squid, $5 Australian dollar dono. He says, and don't get me wrong, I don't hate Cantor, but with how often you trash Melo and his D, you never rant about Cantor. That irks me. Pick and choose much. With Melo, oftentimes he's extremely out of position. Like, well, my criticisms of him are normally because he's extremely out of position, or because, like, he had a possession in the first half today where a guy drove right at him and he didn't make any effort at all to stop the drive. Right? Overall, I don't think he was too bad defensively today. He had a couple instances that were glaring that I wasn't going to bring up, but since you mention it, like he had a play today where a guy, Michael Porter Jr., drove at him in the first half and he literally just like stepped out of his way, right? Last game, he had a play where a guy was driving at him and instead of maybe getting a poster on him, he stepped out of the way. I don't really see Cantor doing that type of stuff. A lot of Cantor's issues are like physical limitations, and Melo has his too. I don't necessarily blame Melo for his physical limitations. You know, he's up there in age. I'm not holding Melo accountable for that, and I'm not holding Cantor accountable for that because they can't change that, right? What they can control is their effort level. What they can control is, you know, their positioning. And Cantor isn't as bad as you're acting like in that regard, okay? He's not as bad as Melo at times in that regard. So that's why I'm more critical of Melo than Cantor. And then, you know, if Melo has a bad defensive game, but he puts in effort and, you know, it's like him closing out and not having the foot speed to stay in front of a Monte Morris or something. Like, I'm not criticizing Melo for that. It's the controllable stuff that I hold players accountable for. Appreciate the dono from Shaggy Squid. And I think we're all caught up on it. Oh, wait, no, one more from Football Nerd, and then I'll let you touch on that. 50 Indian dollar donation. Can we get Vanderpool to be as head coach? How will he be? I would worry. He'd be intriguing, but I'd be worried that he'd be too buddy-buddy with Dame and, like, I don't know, would kind of have some Stotts-esque attributes in his head coaching.
I'd take him over Stotts, but...
Yeah.
Did we get the one before that?
The one before that, sorry, yeah. And another thing, Shaggy Squid, he said this before his last dono, but he said, not once have I said Scott's schemes aren't trash. I'm stating Cantor hasn't only played drop scheme in his career. He is trash any D scheme. Well, if he's trash in any defensive scheme, then it doesn't make sense to not try and hedge him occasionally or have him trap occasionally. And when he has hedged occasionally this year, he's actually looked fine at it. So maybe he just needs to be hedged more and he can improve. And I don't know if he's... I don't know if he's worse at hedging than he is at dropping. Because every time he's hedged, he's looked okay this year. So I want to see more of it just so we know, like, okay, well, if he hedges, somehow it's even worse than dropping him. But at least we know that because we've tried it, instead of just settling for a 29th ranked defense with the idea that he can't do anything else without, like, seeing it for ourselves, if that makes sense.
Yep. We both said this. One of our very first questions in the very first episode of Blazers Uprise mailbag we taped together. We got a question about what we'd like to see on defense. And both of us, I will go to my grave saying that this is the only way to be good on defense, is if you don't do the same thing every single time. And this is my problem. If you have a guy like Cantor who's bad on D, mix it up. Do different things the entire game so they have no idea when they come around that pick. When Murray comes around the pick in the fourth quarter, they don't know if he's going to trap. They don't know if he's going to drop. They don't know if he's going to switch. But when you only drop or do one thing the entire game, and that's your entire game plan, you never adapt, you never change it, it's so easy for these skilled NBA players to just pick that apart. And when you combine that with the physical limitations, like you said, of Cantor, like, then it's just a recipe for never, ever having a good enough defense to win in the playoffs. And if you defense is absolute trash, like it has been the last two seasons, And I'm not talking about like Twitter, how everyone who misses a shot is trash. And it's not the weak trash that everyone uses that word for now. It's absolute trash, right? Our defense. It's like actual trash. And we don't do anything to mix it up or make the other team uncomfortable. When you have a crappy defense, you want to be as aggressive as possible, like I said, so you force turnovers. You want to mix it up as much as possible. If something is not working in a game, you want to switch it up. If it's working, still switch it up, because eventually, like tonight, even though it was working most of the game, they will figure it out and do that. And then in a playoff series, you want to switch it up so you don't show them the same look game after game in a 7-game series. So there's just so many things that are not personnel dependent. And yes, if you showed me Cantor doing all these things and Stotts had great game plans and Cantor was just getting burnt time and time again, I would say, look, Stotts is trying everything he can in his power to make Cantor a good defensive player, but it is just not working, and he sucks on defense. But I can't even tell you, like, what Stotts is changing. Like, it's not working, but he's not doing anything to fix it. So I can't say that it's Cantor or any player on this team specifically, because they all make similar mistakes at times during the games, and they don't do anything different to mix it up when it's not working. Like, I just don't understand why we continue to run the same defense time and time again when it does not work. It just drives me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And switching it up it doesn't work either, and just doing that for the rest of the season. Like, that's not right. Like, there are teams that we play against, obviously, where this system works. There's teams that it doesn't work. Like, you have to be able to have different defenses. That's why, like, Nick Nurse is such a good coach, is because, like, throughout the course of a season, you see like 10 different defenses, and then during the playoffs, they can go to a box and one in the finals and take Steph Curry out of a game because they know what to do on defense, and they know how to do that, and we don't have a way to adapt to our defense, and it just drives me crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same things we've said, and we were supposed to be more diverse with our schemes this year. The last video, we haven't made a video in a while. Need to get back to like mailbags and whatnot. But the last video we posted was Terry Stotts is changing his defensive schemes. This is what we've been asking for. And if you go back and read those quotes, it was him saying we're going to diversify what we do scheme-wise defensively, and we're going to do, more hedging, more trapping. We're going to mix things up. Olshey basically said he wanted to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like these guys are, before the season, it's not like, I don't know, I feel like Stotts didn't want to, but I feel like Olshey was saying that he needed to, so it's not like, I feel like Olshey might not like seeing the same scheme over and over and over again, you know what I mean? I don't know what the dynamic is there, but dude went back on his word. Stotts went back on his word in regards to what we were going to do defensively this year. Because even with Nurkic, man, we still basically just dropped or soft showed, and that's it.
It's just like his offense. Anytime it doesn't work or it faces adversity, he just defaults back to his normal ways, and he thinks that that's good enough to get by, which it is at times. Like, we beat a bunch of crappy teams, and then all of a sudden we run the same scheme for three games in a row, and we're now on a 3-game losing streak.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't really work against winning teams. We are now 4-8 this season against teams above 500. 12 of our 31 games have come against teams above 500. Okay, 19 of our 31 games have come against teams that are 500 or below. Okay, so we've had an easy schedule, and we're 18-13. And it's funny how some people act like that's some amazing record. It's crazy. Weren't we supposed to be contending this year? Right? It's the same people that said, oh yeah, we're contending, now are amazed and super satisfied with being 18-13 against an extremely easy schedule. I did the math on this. If we played just an average NBA schedule, we'd be like 15-16, 16-15. We'd be 500 right now. Right? And people point to the injuries, but bro, this team is extremely deep. This team still has a lot of talent on it. This team still has Damian Lillard. This team has showed that when they play the right style of basketball, they can overcome even having Dame out. You look at that Philadelphia 76ers game. Guess what? That was the best style of basketball we've played all season long, and we blew them out without starting a point guard, without having Dame, without having Nurkic, without having CJ McCollum. But people will still use that excuse because it's easy and they don't have to think about it, and it takes the heat off Stotts for them.
Case in point, Portlandia. Can you tell me any team in the NBA that could lose their second and third best player and still be 18 and 13?
There you go. There you go.
So dumb.
Oh, it's so bad. But yeah.
This is the same guy that's guaranteed, like...
Why are you guaranteeing so many wins then, bro?
At least 18 of those wins, he's guaranteed that we've won. But somehow it's like great coaching or whatever because we won. We're 18 and 13.
Yeah. Why are you guaranteeing? You've guaranteed at least 20 wins probably so far this year. Why are you guaranteeing so many wins if like 18 and 13 is some exceptional mark? It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. The thing is, here's the thing with the Lakers though. You're comparing apples to oranges, bro. And this is just another example of just like a terrible excuse to try and make some sort of argument for Stotts that doesn't add up. The Lakers have terrible depth. Terrible depth, in my opinion. Bro, Dennis Schroeder, what did I say this year? I said the Dennis Schroeder acquisition was overrated. He's not going to be a good fit there with the Lakers, right? I felt like Dennis Schroeder overachieved last year when you look at his career stats compared to what he did last season, okay? This year, he's shooting 31% from 3, 44% from the field, only 49% inside the arc, so under 50%. He's not a good defender, and he's not a good playmaker for a point guard. He's extremely overrated, right? That's their third best player? Or maybe it's Montrezl Harrell, who is not a good pick-and-roll defender whatsoever and can't space the floor and is undersized for a center who's giving him 14 and 6. Like, that's like the third and fourth best player. Who do they have on top of that? Caldwell Pope is their fifth best player, and this is when they have AD. Bro, Trent's better than him. Caldwell Pope wouldn't be our fifth best player. I'd take Trent over him. I'd take Canner over him. I'd take Nurkic over him. I'd take CJ over him. I'd take Dame over him. I'd take Rocco over him. I'd even take Derrick Jones Jr. over him. Okay. Who do they have other than KCP? Who's their sixth best player? Hypothetically, their first guy off the bench. Marc Gasol, washed. Like, he's still a okay role player, but the dude is shooting under 40% for a big, right? He's getting them 4 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 2 assists. Shooting 40% from the field, 36% from 3. Yay. I feel like Giles could do that. You know what I mean? Who else do they have? Alex freaking Caruso? Who else do they have? I'm like blank. Kyle Kuzma? Kyle Kuzma? Bro, I'd rather have Carmelo than Kyle Kuzma. Like, I've always hated Kyle Kuzma's game. Dude plays like he's some superstar when he's a role player. Now, he's shooting the ball a little bit better this year, but I don't expect it to keep up. He's shooting 36% from 3. He's a career 33.5% three-point shooter. They do not have anywhere near the depth that we do. They are far more reliant on their first and second best players than we should be. Thing is, we're super reliant on ours, but that's more by choice. Them, with the Lakers, it's more by necessity. Because 3 through 15, we are much better at full health than they are at full health. So, but you'll come in here and say, well, they lost AD, so, you expect them to be much, look at how they're struggling without AD. Of course we're going to struggle without CJ. Like, bro, we are far more equipped to deal with an injury.
If we played the Nets and we lost to the Wizards just like them, and I'm blanking on who their other loss was too. They play Utah tomorrow. We haven't played Utah since we got our butts kicked by them the first game of the season with CJ and Nurk. I see both sides of it, but I don't agree. This goes back to the whole like, oh, is Spoelstra a good coach? Is Popovich a good coach when they have a worse record than Stotts or whatever? It
comes from the same people that say Stotts is automatically a good coach because he brought the Blazers to a Western Conference Finals, which they got swept in, and then they question championship-winning coaches over a bad 30 games when they've had injuries too. But injuries are an excuse for us. It's just there's no consistency in that regard, man.
Let me get to Football Nerds donation again. He had a 50 Indian currency, whatever that is. I don't know if he answered my question in chat. I'll have to scroll down. But he says, with
Rupees?
CJ and Nurk
Is that
back,
the Indian currency?
what is our ceiling? Second round? Question mark.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Stotts kind of caps our ceiling. Honestly, with a good head coach, I'd say our ceiling is championship. But with Stotts as our head coach, our ceiling is probably a second round loss in 5-6 games. That's the difference for me. Because here's the thing. Once you get that deep into the playoffs, your coach needs to be able to adjust. Your coach needs to be able to have a game plan going into these games because you're playing against really good teams, right? So the coaching is more of a deciding factor. You have to be able to, run the right schemes to take away the opponent's strengths, right? If you run one scheme all series long, bro, that's like potentially 7 games in a row, the opposing offense is seeing the same exact look. And guess what? You know how you get good at something? Repetition. Okay? So if they have to make the same, if it's the same look, game in, game out for an entire series, by the end of the series, they're going to have perfected the way to attack our defense if we don't adjust. And if we do adjust, here's the problem. We don't have enough experience running other stuff right now to be able to really execute it at a high enough level in the playoffs. So even if we do adjust, it'll be much like the Western Conference Finals. We're like, okay, yeah, it's better. Like, we should have adjusted. But then it'll come down to, some of our backside rotations and some of our positioning within the scheme isn't quite on point because we have no experience running it over the course of a season. And then when it comes to ball movement, when you're as stagnant as we are, that doesn't work in the playoffs. It just doesn't. If we move the ball, it'll be much harder for defenses to take Dame out of the game with a trap.
I mean, we can get lucky, and that's the thing is, Melo could get hot, CJ could get hot, Cantor could grab like 20 offensive rebound putbacks in a game, or, we can still win games just because we have players who can overcome some of those things. But yeah, apparently Popovich hasn't been a good coach for 15 years. The game's passed him by. Bruh. You don't like what he's been doing with...
they have a better... Olivia pointed this out. They have a better win percentage than us. I mean, we're tied. Like, they're 16-11, we're 18-13. They have a higher win percentage than we do with a worse team. With a much worse roster. Bro,
with the injuries,
like, LaMarcus Aldridge has been very bad this year and then hurt. Look at their roster. They have a higher win percentage when they have DeMar DeRozan, Keldon Johnson, Rudy Gay, Patty Mills, Jakob Poeltl, Lonnie Walker, Devin Vassell. And you have these Blazer fans try to say he's a bad coach because of what they're doing this year? Are you kidding me?
And what was it? 6 years ago they won a championship?
But the game's passed them by 15 years ago, bro.
Yeah.
They won a championship with a worse roster than the Heat.
Multiple titles within 15 years.
But you know what they did, Eric? You know what they did? They moved the ball extremely well. Mm-hmm. And they defeated the Miami Heat pretty handily in the finals. The Miami Heat had LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, right? And you had an aging Tim Duncan. You had an aging Tony Parker, an aging Manu Ginobili. You had Kawhi there, but he was young. He wasn't the Kawhi he is now. You look at those rosters on paper at that time, Miami had the better roster. But guess what? The Spurs, because they moved the ball so well, were impossible to defend.
So he's saying the Spurs, no free agents want to play there, even though, I mean, in recent years, what they've signed...
We lost a free agent to them. What are you talking about?
LaMarcus Aldridge, Rudy Gay, trying to think who they signed this year. But yeah.
I mean, it's hard to attract players to a small market.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying Derrick Jones Jr. was bigger than
Rudy Gay or LaMarcus Aldridge or...
Yeah, I don't know.
Just makes me facepalm, man. How are these takes so bad? We need to stop focusing on this because I just want to facepalm into the desk right now.
Yeah, there's one more. I just got to read one more, but I got to find it.
Shout out Football Nerd for 30 rupees donation. Rupees. Yeah. We're on to it. We got you, bro. Everybody just spams rupees in the chat when he drops a dono. That's kind of funny. Oh, man.
So, according to Peace and Love, Dame and CJ are great players because they play in a system that has allowed them to shine. In a different system, Dame and CJ would not be able to shine and not get paid max contracts. Dude, okay,
bro.
Are we being trolled? Is this a contest to see who can say the dumber thing? Like, seriously?
I appreciate the laugh, Peace and Love. Oh my goodness, Eric. I don't. That's not. They're just. We don't have to explain that. Like, that explains
says something dumb, and then the next person's like, "Oh, I could say something dumber. Watch this." And then the next person's like, "No, I'm gonna one up you this time." That's what it feels like is happening right now.
I mean, I appreciate the laugh, man. After a tough loss like this, it's just, oh my god. Yeah, guys. If Dame played somewhere else, the head coach would only limit him to 9 shot attempts a game, and he'd only make $10 million.
Football Nerd had a comment that wasn't a dono, but since he's donoed so much, I want to read it. He says, I'm a new fan. My first b-ball game was Blazers versus Lakers, where Dame dropped 50 after Kobe died. My friend who moved to study in America made me watch b-ball. They're Warrior fans, though. Yeah, well, that sucks for your friend. But that's really cool that you got into basketball recently. And, yeah, keep in touch. And, yeah, it's a fun game. I don't know if you want to be a Blazer fan, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Dame's fun, but Dame's fun.
Yep.
And then I got people on my Twitter trying to say, ball movement is completely meaningless, as if we don't get much better shots off of good ball movement than we do, Dame coming off a screen and pulling up with a trap in his face from 30.
The Hornets have good ball movement and they suck.
Yeah. What else do you want to touch about? Because I want to respond to this tweet because it's just ridiculous. What else team-wise? You want to touch on anything else?
$2 don't know Benedict Cumberbatch. When Dame doesn't win a title, cue Tory laughing. I'm going to cry. Yeah, even Blockboy says Dame is 100% a top 10 player, let alone point guard. Y'all talking crazy here. I agree, man.
Yeah. To anybody who says assist doesn't, well, assist, there's a study that says assist doesn't correlate to winning. Bruh. Look at the playoffs last year. This is where people get too stats heavy and it's not, based off watching basketball no more. Like, you watch this team and they move the ball, they get better shots. It's obvious. But then they try and use some random crap from all 30 teams, different teams than us. Bro, you look at the playoffs last year, the teams that moved the ball won.
And here's the thing. Not once have Tori or myself said, oh, the Blazers need to be tops in the league in assists, or the Blazers need to be the best defense, or, they should be top 3 defense, whatever. What do we say? It just needs to be better and not worse than the league. There's no excuse for our defense not being around the middle of the pack, and there's no excuse for the ball movement and the assists and the number of passes and potential assists and all those advanced stats being somewhere near the middle of the pack. Instead of going into this game, we had fallen below 20 assists per game at 19.9, which is just absolutely terrible.
Yep. Also, if you want to follow me on Twitter, at ToryJonesYT is my handle. I HoopsShock for Eric at Blazers Uprise YT. So you can see us argue with people that have
who are you arguing with?
Bust a bucket. More assists does not lead to more wins. There just simply isn't a correlation. The teams that win the playoffs have a 6'6" or taller all-star who can see over defenders. Most have 2 all-stars. We have 1 short all-star. So How is running that guy into a trap a good idea then?
And why do we not run any kind of plays then? If we don't have a ball handler or distributor who's tall who can see over the top of the defense, why are we not running sets and structure to get guys open shots?
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense, man.
Same question to you, Portlandia. If ball movement and stuff like that isn't a problem, if you don't need ball movement, why aren't we at least trying something to get open shots?
But it's like if you have a 6'6", if you have like a 6'6" forward, you can maybe get away with a little bit more isolation, right? Like if you rely on like a guy like Dame or a guy like Steph, where was the 6'6" All-Star with the Golden State Warriors when they won their first championship, right? And they would have won more without KD. The next season, some circumstances caused them to blow a 3-1 lead, but they were 73-9 with a roster construction much like ours. I don't know. What do you think, Eric?
Clay doesn't pass Malcolm. That's his point. Is they ran an offense, they have structure, they have passing and all that kind of stuff.
They had a team makeup much like ours. Sorry, I'm getting too Twitter heavy right now. I don't know. Anything else you want to touch on game wise or like player wise? Like,
it's so hard to evaluate when we're not putting the players in the best chance to succeed, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like the effort in the first quarter was pretty bad, man. I wish Nas got to play more. Gary Trent Jr. had a possession of just absolutely horrible effort. Maybe one of the worst possessions this year when it comes to a lack of effort. Did not box out his guy or go after a rebound right in front of him, and then lazily ran out to that player and just watched himself get back cut. I don't know if you remember what possession I'm talking about, Eric, but I tweeted out, like, bench Gary for that crap. Mm-hmm. Like, you got to start benching guys for that.
Yeah, after that, there was, like...
Not for the game.
There was, like, 2 or 3 players in, like, a 2-minute span that all did something similar. It was frustrating,
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, it's like, not bench guys for the game, but you got to take them out and say, man, that lack of effort is inexcusable. Like, I don't know. Or just take them out and say, do you need a breather? Because you look gassed. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You got to hold that accountable somehow. Because there's just certain plays where just a lack of effort, like, where there's such a lack of effort that it's inexcusable. And you got to do something about it. You can't just let it fly.
Especially in the first half, there was at least 5 or 6 times where we had 4 people standing in the paint on defense when a shot went up, and one guy from Denver runs in and grabs the rebound while they all just stand around, and that's what you're talking about, just effort plays and stuff like that.
Yep. Yep. So, I don't know. Sorry, I'm just kind of... I don't even know what to say, guys. Like, it's just... We've been talking about this for a while. It's the same issues. Let's just look at individual players. I don't have...
What does your shirt say?
Really. Support your local hoop.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's just look at the box score. I don't know. Lately, like, these losses, I haven't really felt like making the player graphics. With just such obvious issues with the team. Dame, we already talked about him. Kanter had 16 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists, 7 for 9 from the field. Were you about to say something?
I was just saying, Gordon had a point, so I just lost it. Crap. He said, we're dead last in team assists over the past 4 seasons. the year we were 26th, and that was the year we went to the Western Conference Finals. It was not even about like improving that much. It's just like not being completely horrible. And even, I mean, that year wasn't great either, but it was better than normal. And that's because during the season, we utilized Nurkic a lot too as a passer before he got hurt.
Yep. What was I going to say? Oh, stats wise.
Did they post the interview? Someone was saying earlier that they were scared to post it or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame them if they didn't. Carmelo had a good game shooting wise, 9 for 17 from the field, 3 for 7 from the 3-point line. Off the bench, he had 24 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and a block. Derrick Jones Jr. had his highest scoring game of the season. Had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 7 for 9 from the field, 2 for 3 from the 3-point line. Nice to see him hit 2 of his 3 threes. Nice to see him cut. He was a bright spot offensively for us and defensively. He had 3 blocks as well. He had a really good game in my opinion. Trent 7 for 16 from the field, 4 for 11 from the 3-point line. Decently efficient game for him. But again, 35 minutes, 2 rebounds. 2 rebounds. One of those rebounds, literally, there was no nuggets within 20 feet of him, and it came right to him. And it was right after he gave up an offensive rebound that he shouldn't have given up. Gary Trent Jr. is such a bad rebounder, bro. I am getting sick of it. There's no excuse for him to be as bad of a rebounder he is, right? Like, Kenner struggled with Jokic on the offensive boards. Jokic had, he only had 3 offensive boards. It felt like more. But, we gave up 10 offensive rebounds. It's not terrible, but you would like to keep it under 10 for sure. And it's not like... Here's the thing. You got to have other guys help out. And the TNT broadcast said this. Trent provides no help at all. He might as well not even be out there. Because the 2 rebounds he gets every 35 minutes he plays are so uncontested that other Blazers could get him. Like, he literally is an absolute non-factor on the boards, and it's frustrating. Mm-hmm. Dude doesn't box out. Dude doesn't hustle after boards. Dude just a non-factor. And 1 assist in 35 minutes. I mean, he's not he's more of a wing. He's not a guard. But it's funny how, like, CJ doesn't pass enough and blah, da, 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 da. Bro, CJ's out here giving you 5 assists a game this year. We got 4 assists a game last year. In rebounds, twice as good. And defensively, I don't know. Trent's been struggling, too. I don't think he's that much of an upgrade over CJ at this point with how Trent has been defending. I don't know, man. Like, he can have a good shooting game, but, like, right now it's like... I kind of expect that out of him. So what else is he going to provide to help the team? And he provides nothing else. And it's frustrating for me because there's no reason for it. Like, I get, having 1 or 2 assists in a game, but the lack of rebounding and the lack of defense just comes from a lack of effort. And he went from the guy who played the hardest on our team to one of the biggest offenders in terms of lack of effort. And it's frustrating to me.
Yep. Just got to get back to the Trent that did all the little things to get on the floor, and we need that scrappiness right now, especially in games where they're struggling.
There's just no excuse for it, man. Bruh, like, I play my ass off no matter what. Like, open gym, rec league. Bro, I play hard. I don't enjoy not playing hard. Like, I couldn't imagine going out there on an NBA court and not playing hard. Like, how do you live with yourself saying, yeah, well, I didn't give it my all today, but oh well. How do you live with yourself like that? I feel like so many players on this team is just, like, perfectly fine with themselves going out there and not giving max effort. And it pisses me off because I know I would be pissed off at myself if I didn't give max effort in a freaking rec league game. You know what I mean? Like, shoot, man. The thing is, most of the people in my rec league pretty much give max effort. I miss my rec league, by the way. It's been almost a year. Hopefully it'll be back soon. I can't wait. But, bruh, for free, for fun, guys will go out there and bust their ass. These guys being paid millions of dollars, it pisses me off how they, A, so many of them play with a lack of effort, and then B, it's not even held accountable. Sorry, but it's irking me lately.
Yeah. Honestly, it's several players, not just Trent's the problem.
For me with Trent though, the yes, I agree with that. But the problem for me with Trent is like how good it was, and then it's like he made it and it immediately had like a drastic change. Like Melo at his age, whatever, like it's not excusable, but it's like different to me with Melo at his age, you know what I mean? Or I don't know, like Dame with as much offensive responsibility as he carries to like take some defensive possessions off. You know, you don't want to see it. You don't really want to make excuses for it. But like that's different than a guy like Trent who busts his ass in the bubble, right? When he hasn't like made it yet. And then the bubble was like his coming out moment, and then it's like he made it. And now he's starting and getting 35 minutes a game. And it's like since he made it, he's not playing hard at all. You know what I mean? Like that's just like that aspect of it is what I have a problem with.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm fully on board. I don't know if it's just like a lack of effort or if he's just, I mean, he hasn't been a really good player at anything other than shooting, dating back to college. So I just don't know if that's like a part of his game or, but like anyone can become a good rebounder or a better defender if they put in that effort. So hopefully he figures it out that, that's what got him minutes in the first place.
It's just like with it regressing, I don't know. I'm not too confident in that because it's going the opposite way it should be right now. I don't know. I'm much more on board the trade Gary Trent Jr. train than I am on board the trade CJ train. Because like, bro, this guy's could get paid $20 million a year, and his effort is regressing. That worries me. Especially as a third guard. I don't know if I want to, third guard $20 million a year, especially one who his effort is regressing and his defense. Like we've seen spurts of him being a really good defender, but we haven't seen it consistently. Like right now, he's a spot up 3-point shooter. That's pretty much it. But like the idea of him is a really, really, really good player, right? Like, and that's why everybody's still high on him and was high on him. Is the audio tripping? Let me try and fix it. I don't know what's up with that. But
well, the other thing is too is I mean, this is only his third year, and I mean he didn't get a ton of playing time last year until further on to the season, and then the season was interrupted. And I don't know. I think he's done fairly well stepping in for CJ, but maybe it was a little too early to just like pass him off as, oh, he's arrived as a legit starter and has no flaws or whatever, like some people were trying to say a few weeks ago.
The issue with his flaws, though, is it's almost like a decision. You know what I mean? A decision that he's not making. Like, I don't know. Are you not worried about that at all, Eric? Like,
I don't know. I just
because he's in a contract year and he's doing this. Imagine once he gets paid.
The problem is he obviously has a good work ethic, so it's hard for me to say like he's regressing or giving like less effort when I feel like the whole team comes out in a funk some games. And yeah, I mean, it's controllable by each individual, but like I don't know, I'm not seeing it quite as bad as you are, which I'm not saying you're wrong or anything. I just haven't had it stand out in my mind as much as you seem to be seeing.
Just all I'm gonna say is against the Lakers, and he might step up because it's the Lakers. You know what I mean?
I'll
but
just
just focus on it. Because whenever I seem to focus on him, it kind of like blends in. But whenever I focus on him, like defensively, it's just like this dude looks like he's just, I don't know. Like he's kind of sleepwalking out there sometimes. And I remember the guy who was in the bubble playing with as much energy as possible. Mm-hmm. So maybe it seems worse because of that. But like, I just how much different it is scary to me. In a contract year too, scary to me. I don't know. Like he works hard, so I don't know what the issue is. I don't know what's going on with it. It's weird. It's definitely weird. So, I don't even, I feel like people will probably have vastly different opinions on it because it's just such a weird thing. And I'm not saying you're wrong either. It's just like it has me worried. It's like, okay, if it's regressing like this in a contract year, is he going to get paid? And then he doesn't even have the money motivation anymore. I don't know. And I'm not saying he's regressing in terms of like offensively, he's having a great shooting season and whatnot, and he's been a tremendous 3-point shooter, and he's been showing flashes of stuff on the drive. It's just like, I don't know. He's going to get paid for that stuff, and then he's also going to make more money because teams will remember what he did in the bubble defensively, and that'll raise his price. So you're talking about a guy who could get $20 million plus, and I wouldn't want to give another guard $20 million plus for just what they bring in terms of from the scoring end of things. And he's not a playmaker like Dame or CJ, so he needs to show me more if I'm going to be comfortable paying him any sort of bag like that. That's kind of my whole point with it.
Yeah, I mean, those are fair questions. I just don't think our scheme does anything
it doesn't. But
to help out these guys, and so it's a problem. When
that shouldn't take away from his effort,
Yeah. But I mean, going back to when we drafted Gary in his first year or whatever, I mean, these were all concerns you had about him. And I mean, we pointed out several times, whether it be Summer League or when he had a chance to play, that he wasn't shooting well, and on top of that, he didn't do anything. He wasn't a good defender, and he didn't rebound, he didn't pass the ball, so it was tough to see him developing if he didn't improve those things. So yeah, I mean, obviously I want to see him be better on that end, but I don't know. I feel like our scheme it puts so much pressure on our guards to be lockdown defenders, and in today's NBA, it's pretty hard to just be that good of a one-on-one lockdown defender. But the times that we don't box out and he just turns around and stands and his guy runs in and gets a rebound, like we saw in the Washington game, or we saw Booker do it a couple times on him last game, those are definitely concerning.
Yeah. And I mean, here's the thing: if like you're not comfortable paying him $20 million, should probably trade him, because you can't lose him for nothing. So that's why I'm like more on board the trade Gary Trent Jr. train, because I'm not like 100% comfortable paying him $20 million, but I think there's a decent chance he could get $20 million a year, and I'm not fully comfortable paying him that with like what he's showing me right now. So that's kind of the issue with that. As far as Anfernee goes, people saying Anfernee's terrible and whatnot. Man, people are so have such a ridiculous level of recency bias when it comes to Anfernee, right? The dude is still shooting 41% from 3, right? Defensively, I think he's been screwed over by the refs more than anybody on this team. There's so many possessions where I'm like, that's really good defense, and they call a foul, and it's like, what? Where's the foul on that? Okay, defensively, he's showing me promise. The dude's still 21 years old, shooting 41% from 3 on tough shots, too. It's not like he's just shooting a bunch of spot shots. Like, he's shooting shots off the dribble, all that type of stuff. He still has the potential to be a good slasher, in my opinion. It's just not there yet. And he has to improve his playmaking, right? Like, he's getting, he's getting 2.5 assists per 36 minutes, right? But the thing is, he's 21, so just be patient with the kid. Like, you wanted to see him improve his 3-point shooting. He did that. You wanted to see him show flashes of improvement on defense. I think he's done that. I think he gets screwed over by refs a lot of times. As far as finishing inside the arc and playmaking, it's not there yet. But he has the potential. I think he has the potential in both those areas. He still has 5 years until he reaches his prime. So just be patient with him. That's my thoughts on Anfernee. He's definitely not trash. I know you probably feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, I felt like when we had a little bit of offense, we were running him off ball a little bit, and not expecting him to go one-on-one and take crazy defender in your face 3-pointers. Magically his game got better. Wow, big surprise, right? and the whole second unit was playing better when they were doing that. It's just frustrating. And then
it's crazy how like Block Boy is saying that Anfernee is trash when Anfernee shoots a similar field goal percentage, a higher 3-point percentage. True shooting wise, Anfernee's like 56%, Melo is 51%, so Anfernee is more efficient than Melo. I don't know. It's not like either is a great playmaker. I don't know. That's just funny to me. Like, his defense is nowhere near as bad as you're making it out to be, Block Boy. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to give Dionysus a shout out. He was asking for one earlier.
All right, shout out Dionysus, man. Haven't seen you in a while. Improve my hair game, bro. I don't care right now. If the Blazers aren't going to put any effort in, during the first quarter, why am I going to put any effort into gelling my hair? Screw it. But like, never blows by anybody. Just shoots threes, bro. You're a Melo fan. I don't know how you're critiquing him on that. I'm not even trying to critique Melo. It's just ironic.
Hi, Isaac. Isaac wanted to shout out too.
Yeah, Anfernee is a fringe rotation player on a good team at 21 years old right now. Guess what? If we had no injuries, he'd be a fringe rotation player on a good team. So I don't know why everybody's like, he's not it. Bro, he's 21. If he was 36 doing this, I'd be saying he's washed. You know what I mean? Like...
Let me just point out Gary Trent's the same age, too, just for the record.
No personal insults allowed, Eric. Oh, I can't remove your comment because you're a mod. Never mind. Sure, shout out Westbrook, Trevin, and Reese, all my mods. I think Westbrook is the only one in here right now, so shout out. Trevin was
Reese and Trevin are in here, yeah.
Where's Reese been? I haven't seen Reese in a while. He says defensive stats were right about Trent. That was Reese's last message. I mean, yeah, they don't make him look good. Ban Eric. I mean, I ain't stopping anyone, man. I could put Eric in timeout, but he doesn't type anyway. Also, Isaac kind of deserves it. Oh, man. But, yeah, so, I don't know. We'll move on, and we got a couple days off. Bro, we only have one game in the next 5 days. I'm kind of down for that. With the way this team is playing right now. Mm-hmm. So you got 2 days off. We'll have Blazers Uprise live on Thursday if you guys want to tune in for that. The link is in the description box below. Then we'll have the post-game show after the Lakers game on Friday. They're without AD, so hopefully we can get at least one win on this road trip and come back 19-13. But yeah, the Blazers fall to 18-13 with this 106-111 loss and showcase just pretty terrible offensive game in terms of what they ran tonight. Yeah, so hopefully they'll be able to use this time off to maybe come up with some creative fancy sets that they use for a couple games and then they forget they have. But yeah, you got the Lakers on Friday, and then our next game after that is Monday, which is, I think, Charlotte, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I believe so.
The 1st of March. It's almost March. That's crazy. So yeah, one game in 5 days. We only got 2 streams over the next 5 days. That'll be Blazers Uprise Live on Thursday and the post-game show after the Lakers game on Friday. So subscribe to Blazers Uprise Live. I will have a full highlights reaction to this game. I would like to break down some of our bad offense possessions. I might see if I can find footage to be able to do that, but no promises there because I would much rather break down our bad offensive possessions. And what else? Follow us on Twitter, Tori Jones YT, Hoopsjock, Blazers Uprise YT are the handles. Links are in the description. And shout out to all my channel members and everybody who tuned in tonight after this rough loss. Dionysus, I don't know. Maybe Eric will get you on that. You want a statistical comparison? You want like a 3-page essay
they're
from
not
Eric?
Similar players at all.
Man, Dionysus, I know you could probably put together as good of a comparison within 5 minutes, bro. I believe in you. We've conditioned you to fight your own battles, and now you're off, waging war in faraway lands out there in Missouri, right? You moved to Missouri, right? I forget. Hopefully I remembered right. That'd be pretty dope. But
I think I said California.
California. I swear he was moving to Missouri. But Blazer takes 2K, $2 dono.
He said something about protocols being lax in Cali.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Well, I talked to him in person before, and I'm trying to remember based on our conversation. But shout out Blazer takes 2K for the $2 dono. Update on Nurk. There won't be an update on Nurk until like the first week of March. Then he'll be reevaluated, and he's not coming back until after the All-Star break. Hopefully, like late March, he returns. But
he's
yeah,
in Cali, but moved to Missouri. So yeah, both of it.
Yeah, see, I remembered, bro. I remembered. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning into the stream. Not the result we wanted, not the stretch we wanted. You got a 6-game win streak followed by a 3-game losing streak. This roller coaster ride continues. We thought maybe we, weren't gonna have a dip here, but we warned y'all, and here it is. We're on the downslope. Appreciate you guys who tune in during a loss. You guys are the real MVPs. You're not just fair weather fans who only show your support in a win, so I appreciate that. It means a lot to both me and Eric, and we will continue to plug away at these post-game shows. At some point we'll have meetups. That'll be cool to meet some of y'all. We'll play some basketball, and I will crush Chief and Blazers 1-on-1. Can't wait until that happens. But until then, gotta keep safe and all of that. I don't know. Anything you this is the weirdest outro I've ever done, Eric. Anything you want to add in here?
I want to tell RIP Blazers to never give trade suggestions until you actually run them through a trade machine and see if they work first. And even though, maybe just not do it, because those aren't even close to working money-wise, and you always do that crap, and I tell you every time that doesn't work financially, and you still come to the table with these unrealistic trade offers that can't happen. But yeah,
we demand better of you, RIP Blazers.
As for Harry Giles, Adam Smith's, the Blazers have not said a single word, so obviously we don't have any inside information on that or whatever. So they are being completely secretive about it, like they are with most injuries, and we have no idea. So yeah, I would love an update on him to see what's going on. But yeah.
Anyway. Yep. So there you go, Dionysus. Other than that, yeah, there's nothing left to plug. There's nothing left to say, right? Anything you want to say?
No, just if you're not subscribed to Blazers Uprise Live, please do. We're almost to 1,000, and then we can do a lot more things with that channel. So It'd be nice to get there. But yeah, tune into that stream on Thursday if you want to talk some Blazer hoops with us.
Yep. We will start dropping videos again at some point over the next couple of weeks over here. We kind of, I don't know, with as many games as there were, kind of just got away from that, and we do want to get back to that. So like mailbags, trade deadline's in a month. We're not going to do much trade stuff because there's just isn't really much of a chance the Blazers do anything, and there isn't much out there that even makes any sense. But maybe we'll do a couple videos around a couple ideas that we may come up with. It'll be a challenge to even come up with those. So I don't know. I don't know what the plan is with that. We will have the trade deadline stream on March 25th though. So we have a big 3 each year. It's the draft stream, first day of free agency, and the trade deadline. So one of our big 3 streams, that'll be fun. On the trade deadline, we'll cover all the action around the NBA. It'll be kind of nice going into it without really expecting a trade, and it'll be easier to kind of focus on what goes on around the NBA. Yeah, Trevin, we've been knowing that, right, Eric?
I didn't see Hood as part of that deal he proposed earlier.
RIP Blazers 1, but Eric like 100.
Yeah, it was his first trade he's ever come up with that actually works financially. My bad.
Thing is, it still puts us into the tax, so it still doesn't really work.
Yeah, I'm just mad I'm just used to his trade ideas being not ones that were good. My bad. I just briefly.
Bro, he had the numbers ready for you. Good job, I can't even talk. I need to end this stream, man.
Yeah, because the Pistons would totally trade Jeremy Grant for a bunch.
Rodney Hood, Derrick Jones Jr., and Gary Trent. I mean, I don't know. Expiring contracts in Trent, I don't know. You'd have to toss in more. But they don't really have like a long-term 2, do they? I could see maybe that being a something But I don't know. Jeremy Grant comes here and becomes the player he was in Denver, and he's probably a little overpaid then. Like, he's putting up good numbers on a bad team. He's not going to be 24 point per game Jeremy Grant here. And here's the thing. Like, there's so many trades out there that, like, sure, our roster gets a little better. Does it solve any of our flaws with our style of play? Probably not. So we'll continue focusing on that for now. We'll try and come up with trades that we like. That'll be a challenge, though. But and GK makes a good point. Jeremy Grant just left the Nuggets for a bigger role. He won't want to be here, LMAO, and that is a good point. He could have made the same amount of money in Denver and wanted to have more responsibilities, so who knows if he'd even be happy here. Lots of things you got to think about when it comes to trades.
Yep.
So, anyway, that's a wrap for the stream. Weird outro. Very disconjointed. Much like the Blazers' offense, so you guys can't even blame us. We will continue telling it how it is. This was not a good offensive game by the Portland Trail Blazers. Not the greatest defensive game, but the offense, my goodness, that was bad. Hopefully, 1 game in 5 days, they could put something in set-wise. Something else, because it's not working against good teams right now. So the Blazers fall to 4-8 against teams above 500, fall to 18-13 on the season. We will catch you guys again on Thursday. Until next time, have yourself a good rest of your night and a good Wednesday. And as always, peace out. Go Blazers.